Hello friends, this is Keith from the Solo Gamers Club welcoming you back to my channel. This evening I'm diving back into the strategic depths of a Euro-style football management game called Time of Soccer. Around 3 or 4 years ago, when the channel was in its infancy, I created a tutorial video for this game. But now we'll fast forward to today and I'm set to roll out a fresh video that promises to be both more engaging and entertaining, hopefully. In Time of Soccer, you're at the helm of a professional football club, tasked with overseeing every facet of the club's activities. This includes navigating the transfer market to buy and sell players, organizing friendly matches, negotiating TV and advertising deals, managing media relations through press releases, and assembling a top-notch team of staff, including coaches, scouts, community managers, and technical secretaries. For this instructional and gameplay walkthrough, I've armed myself with an updated rulebook that was produced by a user called Kula. I downloaded that from BGG. And the rules are enriched now with a match event variant which was designed by Bitter Sourness. So join me as we dive into the solo setup and playthrough of Time of Soccer. To begin setup, we lay out the game board in the center of the table. The board consists of two halves. On the left side we have a market board, and on the right side is the league board. Our game tiles are divided into 4 decks, designated with Roman numerals 1 through 4. The decks are shuffled, and then 7 tiles from each deck are discarded back to the box, sight unseen. This keeps the game fresh for each playthrough. We place 6 colored discs on the 0 space of the league scoreboard. All the discs will be used even if these teams are not controlled by a human player. Next, we're going to shuffle our BSK Cup tiles, and those will be used to determine the quarterfinal matchups for the 6 teams, along with 2 additional neutral teams, Los Mineros and Vetusta. We'll mark the matchups using colored cubes, using white cubes to mark the 2 neutral teams. And this will form our BSK tournament. And we'll begin. First selection is Kayla Tree. And I'll be going up against Los Mineros. Our next pairing is Vetusto versus Malarusa. Next pairing is Palmeiras versus Poranda. And final matchup is Lagartos against Mohia. Winner of the BSK Cup is awarded 7 victory points. BSK Cup tiles are put back in the box. They won't be needed anymore. Next, we're going to shuffle our Time of Soccer league tiles. And we'll make sure that the arrow symbol is face up on all of the tiles. We place them in the space below the Sunday box on the day track. Then we place the preseason token on top of that stack. These tiles are our fixture tiles that will determine the league schedule. Then we're going to place a round marker and a day marker on their respective tracks. The game consists of a preseason week and a 10-week league schedule. Then we take our stack of deck 1 tiles and we're going to fill all of the spaces on the transfer board, beginning with the home space working down in numerical order until all 16 are covered. And this forms the beginning of our transfer board and acquisition board. A lot of players available for purchase. And now we select one of the 4 available teams, and we'll take the corresponding club board and the pieces that go with it. I'm choosing Mohia, so I'll be using the red components. That'll consist of our car, several red cubes, and our starting staff. Our beginning staff consists of a community manager, a technical secretary, and a talent scout. Our coaching staff consists of our team manager. Now for this playthrough, I'm going to be using the unique football players starting variant. So we'll be using these tokens to draft our starting franchise player. The normal Mohia tokens will not be used, and those will go back to the box. To begin, we're going to draw 2 tiles from that unique football players start variant deck, and then we're going to keep one and discard the other. So let's see what we've got here to start out with. We've got Bedoya. He is a central midfielder. And we've got Rake. He is a winger. And I think given the choice, I'm going to go with Rake. He offers us a pass and shot bonus, whereas Bedoya does not. So I think we will take Rake, and Bedoya will go back to the box along with the remainder of the unique player tiles. Information contained on a basic tile includes the name of the player, his possible formations that he can play, his transfer fee, and his weekly salary. Any numbers that are in solid colored background are their base skills. In the case of Alberto Tower, it's pass and ball control and tackle ability, depending if he's playing in the midfield or in the back. He also has 2 special abilities. One of them is team play, and one is tackle. And if these are, as you can see, in a white background, if they can connect up with a symbol on the board or with another player, bonuses will be gained to that player towards his attack or defense. In the case of a player, the token will also show a pennant number on his back of his jersey and a star, and that will be the strength or level of the player, 1, 2, 3, or 4. Next, we're going to place our car representing our talent scout on any space of the transfer board marked with a white car symbol. Generally, we want to place the car nearest the tile that we're most interested in. I'm going to place my car in the lower right corner here, nearest Jerry. He's a talent scout, and he's going to award us 4 actions during the market turns rather than 3, which is our existing talent scout. So I'm probably most interested in acquiring him. Then we're going to place a red cube on the 13 space of our fan base track. Our franchise currently has a fan base of 13. Every point of fan base gives us a revenue of 1 point. So in this case, we would have a revenue total of 13. And we'll place a red cube on the 10 value on the economic revenue display. That is our weekly revenue, which is our income minus expenses. We have an income of 13, which is our fan base, and we have to subtract out 1 for our starting manager, the player, and 1 for our technical secretary. So that moves us from 13 down to 10. So we have a positive weekly income of 10. And as we acquire more players and staff, and once we acquire television or advertising contracts, that will change our weekly income as our revenue will increase or decrease based upon the situation. Each game consists of 11 rounds, a preseason round and 10 league rounds. These rounds are called weeks. Each week is divided into 7 turns, which are referred to as days. Our next step in the setup is to select a neutral team's level tile. This is going to determine the strength of neutral teams that we will face during each week of the schedule. The game suggests that while we're a new player, we would select level 2. So that's what I'm going to do. We're going to select level 2, and that's going to be the strength of our opponents, neutral teams, for weeks 1 through 5 and weeks 6 through 10. And then we're going to select a neutral clashes tile. This is going to determine the strength of neutral teams when they're resolving matches between themselves. Once again, the rules suggest that we use level 2, so that's what I'm going to do. We place that so it covers up the top, and week 1 tells us that the opponent level will be at 0. Home team will be rolling 2 dice to determine neutral clashes, and the away team will be rolling 1. Our available cash on hand is going to be tracked using these $1 and $5 tokens. We begin the game with $5 in our coffers, and we'll give that to Mohia. So we'll place a $5 token next to our logo on our team board. Then we're going to place red cubes on our energy and fatigue tracks, along with our fan satisfaction track. And then we'll calculate our starting offense and defensive levels. There's no player in a position. They're considered to be played by an amateur player, and each of those has a -2 for value. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We begin at -10, but we gain +1 for that connection on the pass and shot ability of Rick. So we're going to be at 9 for our offense. Our defense, we have no players on the defense, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, -10 for defense. We monitor the human-controlled team's attack and defense levels using these tracks that are around the league board. Our starting attack level is -9, so we're going to be using these cubes to mark that for attack and defense. The attack is the soccer ball, and the defense is the shield. You'll notice that there are dice symbols in there, and those are successes in this game. We're going to roll a series of dice, and 5s and 6s are going to be successes, and the number of successes you have based upon the level that you're in determines how many goals, shots on goal you have, or goals defended if it was defense. So in this case, we are at -9 and -10 for our defense. And those levels are going to be changing as we acquire new players and staff. So with the setup complete, I'm going to take my seat at my desk at the chairman's office of the Mohia Football Club. We'll begin the game overview by examining the victory conditions. Victory points are gained and lost for the following conditions. We track the club's wins, draws, and losses on the league board. As per European football, we'll be gaining 3 points for a win and 1 point for a draw, 0 points for a loss. In addition to the points scored during league play, the team with the most league points is going to get a 3 victory point bonus for being the top of the ticket. Runner-up will gain 1 extra. Victory points are also scored for successes in the BSK Cup. The winner of the cup is going to gain 7 victory points. The loser of the cup is going to get 4. And finally, each team that is defeated in the semifinals will gain 2 victory points. Victory points can also be gained based on our fan base. We begin the game at 13. We have no victory point bonus for that, but as our fan base increases, we gain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. victory points based on our fan base. So that's very important that we build up that fan base, not only for the economics of the game, but for victory points as well. Next mechanism for victory points is the attack and defense level bonus. At the end of the game, we're going to look at our lowest level of either attack or defense, and that's going to earn us victory points. So as an example, we'll say at the end of the game we had a attack level of 18 and a defense level of 22. The lower of the two is the attack. That's going to earn us 2 victory points for having a level 3 attack. We're going to lose a victory point for every position that we don't have a footballer attached to. So as an example, right now, starting the game, we only have one position player. So we're going to be losing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 victory points right now, minus 1 victory point for not having that position filled by a footballer. We also can win or lose victory points based on press releases. In this case, this press release, as an example, says that we're making a statement, we're going to win the BSK Cup. If we're able to accomplish that, we're going to earn 3 victory points. However, if our prediction fails, we're going to lose 2 victory points. So those press releases can be a double-edged sword. And lastly, we're going to earn 1 victory point for every $10 in cash that we have on hand at the end of the game. Right now, our football club has $5 in the reserves. The basic element of the season revolves around days of the week. We've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Each day of the week will offer possible actions for the chairman to perform. Mondays are collection days. We're going to examine our income tracker for our team and receive that much in script. So in the case of Mohia, our token right now is at 10, so we would receive $10 in cash. Also on Mondays, as we're using the optional fatigue rules, we're going to be able to have our squad regain 2 energy. The fatigue variant is tracked with 2 separate tracks. We have an energy track and we have the fatigue track. Each time that our squad participates in a match, whether it be a friendly, league game, or cup game, prior to resolving the match, we have to decide what type of team we want to field. And we have 3 options. First one is starting team. In this way, the team plays at its maximum level, which is equal to their actual attack and defense levels. After the match, the team will lose 2 energy points. So we would reduce our energy by 2 points if we were to use the starting team option. Another option is the mixed team. It's a combination of starting 11 and substitutes. The team will lose 1 level in both attack and defense. After the match, though, the team will only lose 1 energy point, as we're spreading that match energy around more players. Final option is a substitute team, and that's where we're going to let all of the starters rest. Team is going to lose 2 attack and 2 defense levels, but we will use no energy at all during the match. So for an example, we'll say that we played a friendly, and on the friendly it noted that we will use up 1 point of energy for that. So we would have marked our energy marker down 1. Say later in the week we played our regular league match and we wanted to field our starting team. That used up 2 points of energy. So we would move it down a further 2 to -3. Well, at the start of the week on Monday, we recover energy. We get 2 energy points back. So we would move our energy marker from -3 to -1. But we're still short from having our energy completely replaced. So for each point of energy that we are short from returning back to our normal level, we have to take fatigue for that. And as that marker moves down, we'll be getting modifiers to our attack and defense levels. In this case, our next match would be played at a -1 attack and defense level. And that's basically how the fatigue rules will work. We begin the season, of course. Preseason, we're got full energy and no fatigue. Next is Tuesday, and that is going to be a market day. First thing we do on a market day is we examine our talent scout. And on his token, it will tell us that we have 3 actions during a market day. Market day actions consist of moving our talent scout, which is in our car, around the transfer board in an attempt to acquire these tiles. So we have, in our case, we have 3 actions we can use during each market day. An action consists of moving a car 1 space. So for an example, we would have to move a car, we have to follow the traffic patterns that are listed on the board. So with our car, we could either move forward or make a right-hand turn. So for 1 action, we can propel our car forward, putting us into that next block. Another action could be spent to enter the parking area of a tile in an attempt to claim that tile. We have Gelatau. He has a cost of $3 and his weekly salary would be 1. He's a striker. He would give us 2 points towards our attack. Another action can occur if our car is not in a parking area but is adjacent to a tile. We can do what's known as a forced transfer. To acquire a forced tile, we use our technical secretary. So we'll say for an example that we are on this space and we want to acquire Gelatau. Now we're not in the parking area, so we can't acquire it by normal means, but since we're adjacent to the tile, we can acquire it through a forced tile action. This is our technical secretary. What will happen here is we would announce that we're attempting to take a tile by force, and we're going to make a roll on the technical secretary's token. And then based on the result, would tell us whether that is successful or not. In this example, we'll say that we rolled a 2. Well, matching that up, it has $4 there. So what that means is we could acquire the Gelatau token by paying an extra $4 on top of his normal transfer fee. So we would be able to acquire him for $7. Now if the result was a 1, we would be able to acquire him for only an extra $2. Then his cost would be $5. However, if we rolled anything 3 through 6, that is a fail symbol, and that means that the transfer would not go through and we would have to end our transfer actions for the day. The transfer board in the solo game works a little bit differently than it does in a multiplayer game. You'll notice that along the left side of the board there are blue dice symbols, and along the bottom and top there are white dice symbols. In a standard game of Time of Soccer, you would have anywhere between 2 to 4 players controlling the teams. But obviously in the solo game we've only got 1. So in order to simulate the market activity of non-human controlled teams, we're going to be making some dice rolls prior to us taking our market action. We're going to roll a blue and a white die. And we're going to do that, in the case of a solo game, 3 times before we would take our action, simulating the market actions of the 3 non-human controlled teams. So as an example, we'll say our first roll was a blue 3 and a white 4. We would locate that row of the blue 3 and intersect that with the white 4 column. And that would be Sancho. He would be considered to be taken off the market board by a non-human controlled team. And we would make a second roll, and we'll say that time it came up to be a 2 and a 2. We would do the same thing again. We would intersect the blue 2 with a white 2, and that would be this advertisement that is going to be taken by another team and not available for us to acquire. If any of the dice come up to be a 5 or 6, then that market action is nullified because there's no 5s on here. It only goes from 1 to 4 for white and blue. So if any of the, either a blue or a white die comes up a 5 or 6, there's no market action. That's what we obviously want to have happen, as we don't want those tiles taken by other teams. And as you can see, when you combine the traffic arrows and the location of the tiles, it's an interesting mechanic on how the player has to maneuver his talent scout to acquire these tiles that we need. On Wednesdays, each player will perform just one of the actions listed, if possible. Possible actions include, if this was week 6, 8, or 10, we would have to play a tournament game, cup game. If the player possessed a friendly tile, they must receive the benefit of the tile and then remove it from the game. If the fatigue variant is applied, the player must reduce his energy level as pictured on the friendly match tile. And finally, if any of the previous conditions are not fulfilled, we would make that simply a market day. Thursdays and Fridays are standard market days. Saturday is a market day, and then something called a market movement. At the conclusion of the market action on a Saturday, we're going to undertake what's known as a market movement. All of the tiles on the market board will remain for a maximum of 2 weeks. A market movement will take place every Saturday when all players have taken their market actions. We begin by removing from the game any tiles that are marked with a white cube. A white cube is placed on each tile during the market movement. So as an example, if none of these tiles were taken, each of them would have a white cube placed on them. And then the next Saturday, following the market action, all tiles that have white cubes on them are removed from the game. So we have a maximum of 2 weeks to attempt to acquire these tiles that are on the market board. So after removing any tiles that had white cubes on them, we would place white cubes on all tiles that do not have a white cube on them. And then we would refill each space of the market board with new tiles. We take the tiles from the current tile deck. If that tile deck becomes exhausted, we would start taking tiles from the next deck. So in the case of deck 1, if deck 1 is exhausted, we start placing deck 2 tiles. And finally, Sunday is our match day. Now, if we're in the preseason like we are now, we would simply resolve any friendlies that we might have acquired during the week. If this is a regular league week, we would play the matchup indicated on the tile. So in this case, this is our week 1 fixtures. We have the home team hosting the visitors. So in this case, you would have Malarusa hosting Paranda. And then we would resolve each matchup. And when we get to our team, the human control team, it's going to be Lagartos hosting Mohia. And we would resolve that league game. Now we'll move on to player assignments. Football players can be moved in or out of the team at any time between matches. If they're on the board, they're considered to be a starting player. If they're at the top of the board, they are considered to be on the bench and in reserve. Players in the reserve do not contribute to the attack or defense levels of the team. Each player has a position or positions shown on his token, and those are the only positions that he can play on the squad. In the case of Rayek, he can either be a left or right winger. Those would be his optional positions. So we could place him either in the left winger position or in the right winger position. A player can never play in a position which is not shown in red on his display. When a player is on the display, we will examine the bonus that he gives us towards either attack or defense. In a standard formation, All of the darker brown positions are attacking positions, and the lighter brown ones are defensive positions. So in the case of Rayek, he gives us a +1 with his blue cross and shoot ability. Now part of the fun of this is trying to build your squad and taking advantage of these connections. You'll notice that Rayek has a blue circle symbol on the left side of his token. That's the cross and shoot ability. Now if we can pair that up with another player, as in the example of Lamachinga, each player would gain from that connection. In this case, it is not a listed connection, it's worth 1 point. So Rayek would gain 1 point for his standard cross and shoot ability, and 1 point for the connection with Lamachinga. Lamachinga, on the hand, would also gain 1 point from that connection, in addition to his standard 1 point for his pass and ball control ability. Now if Lamachinga was playing in a forward position, he has that cross and shoot ability that we can connect up with Rayek, and we would gain +3 for that ability, having that connection. So Rayek would gain +3, and Lamachinga would also gain +3, in addition to his normal ability. In this case, he gets 0 for shot at goal, and he gets a +2 bonus for shot on goal special ability. So that's how we will work determining the attack and defense levels of our players. We're always looking for these special connections that we can try to achieve to gain extra points on our attack or defense. Additional bonuses can be gained by training from our coaching staff. In this situation, our manager has a training ability that allows a reroll. You can reroll either the attack or defense dice during a match. Our assistant coach, in this case Pakapakera, he would give a bonus of +3 to any player that has that square red bonus on their token, whether it is connected or not. So in the case of Lamachinga, he would gain his normal +2 bonus that he has on his token, but in addition, because of Pakapakera, he's going to issue an extra 3-point bonus for that symbol. And that's how we build our attack and defense levels, and we use those small advantages to gain an advantage over our opponents. Now, in addition to the training ability, our manager will also dictate the formation that our squad will be using. In the case of our default manager, we're going to have our forwards and midfielders contributing to the attack, while our defenders and goalkeeper will contribute to defense. Now in the case of Belamonte, we can see here that he's more defensive, and our left central midfielder is going to contribute his values to the defense rather than the attack. So it depends on who our manager is and our assistant managers, and those can be swapped in and out as we choose, depending prior to the start of the match. That would dictate the formation that we're going to be employing. Another member of our staff is our community manager. We're going to consult him at the conclusion of each match, and he's going to tell us how much our fan satisfaction track will be able to move up, depending upon whether we won, drew, or lost. In the case of a win, in this case, we would move up our satisfaction level by 2. When that satisfaction level reaches the end of the track, it gets reset to 0, and our fan base would increase. That would allow us to move our fan base up, earning more revenue and possibly victory points. Another member of our staff is our technical secretary. Now, we discussed him a little bit earlier. He has other functions that he can perform in addition to those forced acquisitions. We're also going to use him during a sale when we sell players. Unlike the other market tiles, sales tiles are not moved from the market board after their use. They're going to remain there for 2 weeks, and they can be used by any of the players during the same turn. These tiles give the player the opportunity to sell football players they don't want, receiving money from each sale. When we park our car into the sales tile, we're going to use our technical secretary to negotiate the sale of one football player. We're going to make a die roll on his token, and if we can get any result that shows money, the transfer will be successful. The value of the symbol makes no difference. We're looking just for a dollar symbol, or in the case of a failure, the fail symbol. So in the case of the player Rick, we'll say that we landed our car on a sales token on the market board. We consult our technical secretary and we roll a die. We'll say we had a result of 2. Well, that is a success. That would allow us to sell Rick back to the bank for his transfer fee, which is $3. Now, the value of that result, in this case $4, makes no difference. We're looking for success or failure, in this case on a sales token. That's how sales will work. And finally, we have our talent scout. Now, we discussed him earlier. The talent scout's function is to give us actions during market actions. In the case of our starting one, he gives us 3, but there are some talent scouts that might give us up to 5 actions. It's going to give us more mobility on the transfer board and thus allowing us to acquire more tokens. Some other tokens that we can acquire are television and advertising contracts. We're able to have one of each at any particular time. When we acquire the token, it gives us a revenue bonus, and then we also will gain, in the case of this television contract, for every win we'll get $1, and if it's a home game, we would get $1 for that. Same thing goes for the advertising contract. $1 for a win and $1 for a home game. In addition, $1 extra for revenue. So those are very valuable to us. Another token is a friendly. Friendlies will generate some revenue for the team, but will always come at a cost in energy. So in this case, we have a home game, and we would earn 4 revenue for that, $4. Now that home match would also work in tandem with any television or advertising contracts that we might have. Those are considered home games, and we would earn revenue from those as well. And the final tokens we'll discuss are press releases. We discussed this a little bit earlier. Each player can have up to 2 press release tiles simultaneously in their club. If a player has both spaces filled, they cannot take a new press release. A press release is actually a small bet. If the player takes the press release, he's committed to achieving the affirmation that appears on it. In the case of this token, we're stating that we're going to win the BSK Cup. If we're able to fulfill that affirmation, we're going to gain the positive results. In this case, 3 victory points. However, if we fail to accomplish it, we're going to lose 2 victory points. So those are definitely a risk. And that's going to conclude our basic overview of the game mechanics and components. One thing we haven't covered yet is match resolution, and we'll do that during our example of play. So we'll begin our play with Monday morning of the preseason week. We're going to move through each day of the week. When the tracker gets to Sunday, we're going to advance to the next week, and that'll be our first league week of the season.
Greetings to all and welcome to Moheya Victory Park, the pulsing core of the Moheya Football Club. My name is Maggie Taylor, and as the community manager for Moheya, I'm thrilled to introduce you to our vibrant team. Though we're the newcomers, our ambitious chairman has propelled us toward a path of excellence. Our fan community is robust and expanding, and is likely to grow quickly with a few successes on the pitch. It's the dawn of pre-season Monday, and there's a buzz of activity as we gear up for our inaugural clash with K-Lettree. Secure your season tickets today for an electrifying 10 weeks of football. Let's soar, Moheya!
All right, so it is Monday morning of the preseason week of the season. First action we perform is our collection day, and that's where we're going to examine our income track, and we will receive the amount of script indicated. All right, examining our economic income track, we have a positive balance of 10. And that's our revenue from ticket sales, concessions, merchandising. Everything is all rolled into that, and that is a direct result of our fan base. Our fan base is 13, and out of that we have to subtract our expenses. Our expenses are a combination of our coaching staff, players, and our team staff. So we've got a balance of 13, that is our fan base. So we would have to subtract the value, weekly cost of each of the coaches, players, and staff. So in this case, our coach has a weekly salary of $1. Rayek has a cost of $1 per week, and our technical secretary has a value of 1. So that's 13 minus 3 gets us our 10. So we're going to earn $10, which we're going to add into our coffers. We've got a total of $15 now to spend on players and other personnel, which is great. Our next action on Monday is recovery of energy. We would regain 2 energy points. Now, as we're just starting the season, our energy levels are at, and fatigue levels are at full capacity, so we don't have to worry about that. That's going to complete our Monday. We'll move on now to Tuesday, and that is going to be a market day, which is where we can use our scout to purchase players and personnel. Now, this is one of the most interesting parts of the game and where the strategy comes in. We have to place ourselves in the shoes of the chairman slash owner slash manager and try to build a team that's going to give us the most victory points. And there's an infinite number of ways we can do this. So I'm going to go through the thinking process of how I am going to do this. Now, each week we have 5 separate opportunities to use this market board. So to me, getting a proper talent scout is kind of important, because the talent scout we have now gives us 3 actions on the market board per turn. Now, if we can pick up Jerry, that's going to give us 4, and that's going to be 1 extra action per turn that we're going to be using this market board. So in effect, by increasing the talent scout up from 3 to 4, it's giving us 5 actions per week extra. So I think it's important if we can get a talent scout early, he's going to pay dividends throughout the coming weeks. So that's going to be my first, I think, priority, is to pick up a better talent scout. Now, before we can take our market actions, we have to make the market actions for the non-human players. So we're going to be rolling a set of dice for each non-human team. And in this case, since we're playing a solitaire game, we're going to be making 3 rolls at the start of each of these market action days. So we're going to roll a blue and a white die, and then we're going to intersect that result on the market board, and then that tile will be removed, and that would be considered to be purchased by other teams. Here's the roll. Okay, we've rolled a 6 and a 2. Now, anytime any of the dice comes up a 6 or a 5, that has no effect on us. So we're in good shape for right now. We'll make our second roll now. That time we've got a 1 and a 4. So we're going to make the intersection of the blue 1 with the white 4, and that means Andres Lozana has been taken by another team, and he is removed from play. We've got to make 1 more roll now, and that will determine if anyone's taken. And this time we've rolled a 5 and a 4, so there will be no selection for this last roll. So now we can take our actions. And we have a total of 3 currently. That is the ability of our talent scout. And I think we're going to pick up Jerry. So I'm going to make our use of our movements. We're going to use 1 movement point to move into this street, and a second action to move into the parking lot where Jerry is, and we're going to sign him. First thing we look at when we're purchasing a tile is we'll look in the upper right-hand corner and see if there is any type of transfer cost for acquiring the tile. In this case, Jerry has no cost, but he does have a weekly fee that we'll have to pay, his weekly salary. In this case, Jerry is 0, so that won't adjust anything on our economic track. We simply sign Jerry and put him in his position as the talent scout. So we would take a look at Jerry as opposed to our existing talent scout. We find out that they have the same weekly wages. There's zero, so there'll be no change to the economic track. But we do get the advantage of Jerry giving us 4 actions during those market turns. And so we're going to replace Jerry into the talent scout position, and then this talent scout is removed from play. Final step is to move our car back onto the street opposite of the parking area where we were, and that will complete our market action for Tuesday. So we'll advance our day tracker to Wednesday, and Wednesday is an interesting day. We have to complete one of the 3 listed actions if possible. First one would be if this was a week 6, 8, or 10, we would play a match in our BSK Cup. That isn't the case. We're in the preseason. Next selection would be if we had any friendlies. If we agreed to any friendlies, they would be resolved at this time. We don't have any. So in this case, we're going to make it another market action day. So we'll begin by making the opponent's market action rolls. Here's the first one. That one is a 5 and a 4, so no damage to us there. We'll make our second roll. That time we have a 1 and a 2, so that is going to be La Machinga. La Machinga has been taken by another club, and he's removed from play. Okay, here's our third roll. And that time we've got a 2 and a 5, so the 5 means we don't have to worry about that roll. Now we can take our actions, and now with our new talent scout, we've got 4 moves that we can make. And now this is where it gets interesting. We've got to decide. We have to tell our talent scout which tiles he's supposed to purchase. And we have to make that decision based on the players available and the ones that we've already got on our team display, and trying to make those connections that I talked about earlier. Now we know that Rayek has that cross and shot blue disc ability. So if we can get another player that would align with him with one of those features, that would be awesome. So we're going to examine the board and see if there are any players that can fill that need. Well, there's a couple players that do have that ability, Eric Draver and Zephyrs, but unfortunately those are on the wrong side of the tile. Rayek's connection is on the left side of the tile, so we would need to have that symbol on the right side of the tile of another player in order to make that connection. So it doesn't look like we're going to be able to do that. So the next best thing we can do is see how we can improve our offense or defense with the players that are at hand. Now there are other considerations as well. Now, we do have this television contract with analysis paralysis that would give us an instant boost to our income, and then we would also gain the benefits of wins and home games, adding $1 each for those. So that's kind of an interesting addition to keep income coming in. Money's very important in the game. We've got to pay these salaries. And if we can't pay the salaries, we're going to be losing players, so we don't want to do that. I'm probably most interested in Eric Draven. He's a forward or a right winger, and if we could get him, I think he would be an excellent addition to the squad. He offers a lot of bonuses in different areas. We've got our bonus for pass and ball control. He's got a bonus for cross and shoot, and he also has an ability for team play along with a shot on goal if he's playing in the forward position. So I think he would be very versatile for us. So I think we're going to move to try to get him. Won't be able to do it this turn because of the traffic patterns, but we'll be in position for next turn. So I think we will do that. We're going to move 1, 2, making a turn here, 3, making the turn there, and 4, placing us in front of the parking area where Draven is. So if he survives the next set of selections from the board, we'll probably sign him. And it's also a good idea to always anticipate in the event that the tile that you can't get, maybe that you'd like, has been taken. Like say if Draven is taken before we can acquire him, what is this path going to give me for other options? Well, we could move, if we can't get Draven, we'd be able to move our car to get Zephyrs, and that might be another possible good acquirement for us. So we're going to do that. That'll be our 4 actions. So we'll move on from Wednesday to Thursday, and that's going to be another market day. And we'll begin by making our market rolls for the day. Here's the first one. And that time we've got a 4 and a 3. So 4 and 3 is going to be Gelatau. He will be taken. Okay, here's the second roll. That time we've got a 2 and a 3. 2 and a 3 is the coach Belamonte. Belamonte is taken. And our final roll. And we've got some 5s here, so there'll be no action on that, which is great. Now we can take our 4 actions. And I think this is going to be a no-brainer. We're going to move into the parking area where Eric Draven is located, and we're going to purchase him. Now, his purchase cost, his transfer fee is $4, and he'll have a weekly salary of $1. All right, so we have purchased the forward and right winger Eric Draven. His transfer cost was $4, so we'll have to pay that. We'll spend a $5 and get 1 back. That's going to leave us with $11 left in the treasury. Now we have to account for his weekly salary. His weekly salary is $1, so we have to exchange our value of 10 on our weekly income down to 9 now, because we're paying a total of $4 for our upkeep. 1 for our coach, 1 for Draven, 1 for Rayek, and 1 for the technical secretary. And then we can place him on the board wherever we choose to within the positions that he can play. And I think what we'll do is we'll probably wait to place him in a final position until we can acquire some more players. But I think for the short term, I'm going to put him at the right winger position, and we'll move Rayek to the left winger position. And we won't account for the change in the attack values yet, because there's still several turns left before the end of the week. So our talent scout his car is moved back out into the road opposite the parking area, and that's going to end the turn. Now what I'm thinking about is on our next opportunity, I wouldn't mind trying to sign Zephyrus. Would be fantastic, but the problem is Draver can only play in that right winger position or in forward. So if we do acquire Zephyrus, he does give us a nice bonus there to the right back position. And we could technically move Draven to the forward position, and that would work out pretty well. So that might be something we'll think about in the future. So our day tracker will advance to Friday, and that's going to be another market day. All right, we'll begin with our market rolls. And that time we've got a 5 and a 3, so no problem with that one. We'll make our second roll. And we've got a 2 and a 6, no problem. The 6 will cancel out the selection. And here's the last roll for today. And we've got a 1 and a 3. All right, so 1 and a 3 is going to be the goalie, Stefan. Stefan has been taken by another club. Okay, now we can take our actions. We have 4 actions with our current talent scout. And we've got $11 in our coffers, so we've got some money to spend on some players. And I think we're going to go after Zephyrus. So we're going to make our movements 1, 2, and 3 into the parking area with Zephyrus. Zephyrus has a transfer fee of $4 and his weekly salary is 1, so we're going to take him. I think he's going to be a nice addition to our club. All right, so we have acquired Zephyrus. Unfortunately, he only plays one position, and that is the right winger position. So he's kind of limited, but he's pretty qualified. So we start out by paying his transfer fee, and that's going to be a total of $4. So once again, we'll pay a $5, and we'll get $1 back in change. We're down to $7. Next, we have to consider his weekly salary. He has a weekly salary of 1, and that's going to move our economic track down to 8. And then we can place Zephyrus on our board, and we're not worried necessarily about the totals yet, but we'll put them in the positions they can play. So we're going to place Zephyrus in the right winger position, and we'll place Draven in one of the 2 forward positions. And I think we'll put him right now in the left forward position. For right now, Drevin is going to earn us +2 for his shot on goal ability. Now, if you notice, he gives us a lot of possibilities around him. The other forward, if we had a team connection with that other forward, we'd earn a bonus for that. Same as with Rayek. If we had the ability to have that cross and shot ability, if that was on the other side of Rayek, say, we would get this +3 bonus. It would connect Draven with Rayek, but that isn't the case. All right, that completes our Friday actions. We'll move on to Saturday, and that's going to be a market action followed by a market movement. All right, our car should have been moved out to the road space following that transaction. Now we'll make our market rolls for the day. First one is a 1 and a 1. Okay, so that means that Diamond has been taken. He is a right midfielder or defender. Okay, here's the next roll. And we've got a 2 and a 3. 2 and a 3. It's been taken already, so no problem there. Here's our third roll. And we've got a 2 and a 5, so the 5 will cancel it out for us. We don't have to worry about it. All right. Now I'm eyeing up this defender, Sancho. Kind of expensive, but he does offer a lot of bonuses, and that would help to shore up our defense a little bit. So I think we're going to make a play for Sancho. And we're going to make our movements being 1, 2, and 3 into the parking area, and we're going to sign the defender, Sancho. All right, so we have signed the defender, Sancho. He has a transfer fee of 4, so we'll have to pay $4. Give up another $5. And we'll get $1 back. So our treasury's down to $3 right now, which isn't great, but we'll be getting some more money at the start of next week. Now, Sancho has a weekly salary of 1, so our economic tracker will have to go down to 7 now. Now we can place Sancho on the board, and he can play in any of the central or right back positions. So we have to decide where are we going to get the best bonuses for Sancho. Right now, he gains 1 for his tackle ability, and he has a connection for a +2 tackle ability there as well. So that would work out pretty well. If we tried him in the right defender position, we would gain +1 for his tackle ability there and +2 for the tackle ability there. So in either position, it would work pretty well. We'll try him at left center back, and I guess in this position, we're going to get the same values, 1 plus a 2, but we'd also have a possible connection with the other center back. So I think we'll leave him in that left center back position, and he'll take up our defensive duties in that area. All right, so our Talent Scouts car has moved back out to the street, and now we have to undertake what's called a market movement. What happens here is if there were any tokens on the board with white cubes on them, they would be removed from the game. It means they've been on the transfer market for 2 weeks and they've just drifted off to a different league or somewhere else. We have none here now because this is the preseason. Our next step is to place white cubes on any existing tiles that are already on the board. So we're going to place a white cube on each tile that is remaining, and that tells us that these tokens will only be available for 1 more week. So if we want to purchase them, we better do it quickly. All right, that is all the tiles that are existing. Now we're going to use our level 1 tiles, and we're going to replace all of the spaces that are missing tiles in order from the home space in numerical order, filling them in with new players and personnel. All right, so we've refreshed our transfer board, and we got some interesting things that came out on the board. There's a couple of friendlies that are available, one for home and one from away, would earn us $6 and $4 respectively. So that would be interesting. A couple technical secretaries that are going to be a lot more functional than the ones we have. That is for certain, especially Dan Teton. He would give us successes on basically 1 through 4 and only fail on 5 or 6. So that would really be a nice addition to our staff, no doubt about it. There's also a nice advertising contract for www.maxgame.com, and that would give us income for wins and for home matches. In addition, we would raise our weekly income by 1. So some interesting things on the board. So we will advance to Sunday, and that is our match day. We would look at the top tile of our fixtures tiles, and we find out that this is a preseason. So all we would do here is if we had a friendly that we had negotiated, we would resolve that right now. But we don't. So then we just follow the things on the token. And in this case, the friendly is supposed to be discarded, and that's what we do. And that reveals our week 1 fixtures that will be coming up during next Sunday. Looks like we're going to be playing against Lagartos. We'll be visiting Lagartos. And I think this is a good opportunity for us to calculate our attack and defense values right now to see what we've got so far. We'll begin with the attack. We've got Eric Dreven in the left forward position, and as it stands now, he only gains us his shot on goal ability. He does have this triangle, which is his passing ability, I believe. Yes, that's pass and ball control, but in order to get credit for that, we've got to have another player here that also possesses that pass and ball control symbol. So that's definitely something that we would like to acquire if we possibly can. So far we've got an attack value of 2. Next player we've got is Rayek, and what is he giving us right now? Well, he's giving us +1 for his cross and shot ability. So we would add an additional 1 to our total. None of his other symbols are connected, so that's all we get out of him at the moment. And then we have Zephyrs. The only connections that Zephyrs has right now is his cross and shot ability, which is 3, and that's pretty good. That's going to move our offense up to a total of 6 for the moment. But now we have to subtract out the non-position player locations. We're going to lose 2 for each of these. -2, -2, and -2. So we're going to be at an offensive level of 0 right now. Our defense, we've only got 1 player, and that's Sancho. He's going to earn us 1 for his tackle ability and +2 for his tackle special ability. That's a total of 3. But unfortunately, we're going to be losing 2, 4, 6, 8 for the non-filled positions. So that'll give us a defensive level of -5. So let's go to the board and see where we're at. So with the players we've acquired, we've managed to move our offense up to 0, which is going to place us in the level 0 column. We'll be using these figures for our successes during matches. So we'll be able to score anywhere between 1 and 6 shots on goal with that offense. Defense is lagging behind a bit. We're at -5, but that was enough to move us up into the level -1 for defense. So we'll be able to defend anywhere between 1 and 5 goals during that match. So we're at the end of the week. We're going to reset our day marker to Monday, and our week marker will advance to week 1, and the regular season is upon us. So our first regular season game is going to be Lagartos hosting Mohia. It'll be the last matchup for Sunday. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is we want to compare our attack and defense levels to the levels that Lagartos will be using. That's where this tracker comes into play. During week 1, the attack and defense levels of non-human teams are going to be listed. In this case, 0. Week 2, it goes up to 1. Week 4, it goes up to 2, etc. So for this first match, they are going to have level 0 attack and level 0 defense. So if all things remain the same right now, we would be at parity with them on our attack, but our defense is going to be 1 level lower than what Lagartos will be using. So we might want to think about that in this next week, moving up into Sunday, about some of the acquisitions that we might want to get. We might want to try to make an effort to get our defense up to at least level 0. Might be a large effort, but we'll see. But that's part of the decision-making process in this game. We're constantly looking at all these moving parts and trying to maintain control of them.
Greetings, Mohaya fans. Maggie Taylor here, your community manager for Mohaya Football Club, bringing you an exciting update. Our chairman Keith has successfully signed a number of players poised to enhance our offensive and defensive prowess on the field. Leading the charge is striker Eric Draven. Flanking him are midfielders Rake and Zephers, adding strength to our wings. Anchoring our defense is Sancho, taking on the vital role of left central back. I anticipate a thrilling football season ahead, and I encourage you to secure your season tickets today.
All right, so it's Monday of week 1, my favorite day of the week because it is a collection day. We're going to be able to get some money from our income track. Our income track right now is at 7, so we're going to earn $7. That'll move us up to $10 in our coffers. And once again, we would earn 2 energy back for our squad, but we haven't expended any. We didn't have any friendlies, or there was no cup or league games. So that will end Monday, and we're going to move on to Tuesday, which is a market day for us. All right, we'll start with our market rolls for Tuesday. First one is a 3 and a 4. Okay, 3 and a 4, and that's Julio Alberto. He is a left midfielder and defender, and he's been taken. Okay, we'll make our second roll. And that's a 2 and a 5, so no damage to us there. Make our last roll for Tuesday. And we've got a 5 and a 6, so we've managed to dodge those bullets at least. That's great. Now we get our 4 actions for our market day. Well, examining the players that are available, the defending players that are on the board are John C. Benmack and Fook. And Fook is probably the only one that's really going to help us out. We would be able to get a connection with that tackle ability with Sancho. So I think that might not be a bad idea. We would be able to move our defense up quite a bit. We'd probably put him in the right back position. Unfortunately, it's going to take a little bit for us to get over there. We've got to get to that parking lot here, and we're forced into a right-hand turn. So that's going to take a little bit to get there. Let's see if there's anything else that we can achieve. We've got a total of $10 in our coffers. That would be enough to afford Fook. That would leave us $6 left for other acquisitions. Well, I think what we're going to do is Alberto Tower is a possibility. He's kind of expensive, though. I think we'll wait on him, and I'm just going to make our 4 moves. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we'll try to make our way down here towards Fook. We'll see if we can maybe pick him up. It's going to take a little bit to get there, though. All right, that completes Tuesday. We'll move on to Wednesday, and the only action we're going to be able to undertake is going to be the market action. And we'll begin with our market rolls. Let's see if we can have these players survive. And we've got a 2 and a 6, so no damage there. That's great. Here's the next roll. 6 and a 6, that's great. So we've dodged another bullet. And here's the final roll for the Wednesday turn. And we've got a 2 and a 4. So a 2 and a 4 is going to be the central midfielder and defender Alberto Tower. He's gone. So that's going to complete the market rolls. We can make our actions. Now we've got 4 of them. I think we're going to head for Fook. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're right in front of the parking area for Fook. So if he survives another day of market activity, we'll be able to sign him. And it's interesting, he's also got a white cube on him, so if we don't sign him, he will be gone at the end of the week. That completes Wednesday, and it's already Thursday now. Another market day. We're getting close to our first league match. And we'll begin with some market rolls. Here's the first one. 5 and a 4, so that's good. No damage to us there. Second one is a 5 and a 1, so no damage for that. And one more. And we've got a 1 and a 5, no damage there. We survived all 3 of those. So it's our turn, and I think we are going to sign Fook. So we're going to move into that parking area, and we're going to grab the defender, Fook. All right, so we have signed the defender, Fook. It's going to cost us $4 for the transfer fee. It's going to move us down to a total of $6 left in the coffers, and he's also going to cost us his salary of $1, so we're down to a positive income of $6 right now. Fook is able to play either left or right back, so we'll have to decide where we can get the best use of him. And I think probably by putting him in the right back position and moving Sancho into the right center back position. That seems to work pretty good. We're going to gain this connection now, which is great. So we're going to adjust our defense right now. We've got Fook has a 3 tackle, and he's going to gain 1 for the connection with Sancho. So that's a total of 4 on the defense. Sancho is going to gain his 1 tackle and his bonus tackle of 2, that's 3, plus he gains the 1 point for the connection with Fook. When a connection is not labeled, it's considered to be a value of +1. So that moves our defense up to 8, but we have to subtract out the positions we don't have players for. So we're going to lose 2, 4, 6 for that. It's going to put us at +2 on our defense. Interesting enough, I just spotted something. We have a connection here of 2 purple triangles. Now, even though the connection here is labeled +3 for pass and ball control, as long as we have a connection of equal symbols, it's worth 1 point. So Fook is going to gain an extra point for his defense, and Zephyrs would gain an extra point for, in this case, his attack. So in this case, our defense now is a total of 9 minus 6. We have +3 on defense. And we'll check our offense real quick. We've got 1 point for Rayek with his cross and shot ability. Draven will give us 2 for his shot on goal ability, puts us up to 3. And then Zephyrs is going to give us 3 for his cross and shot, and 1 point for the connection with Fook. We have to subtract out the points for the non-fill positions, 2, 4, 6. So that's going to put us at +1 for our attack. So we've got +1 for our attack. We're still in the level 0 bracket, but we've made a little progress there. But we made some massive progress on our defense. We're at +3. So that moves us up to +3. And now both our attack and defense are level 0. So we've got parity with the Legardo squad, at least going into the match as it stands now. All right, that completes our Thursday turn. We're going to move on to Friday, and that is another market day. So we have the market action today and the market action on Saturday to better our position prior to the start of the first match with Legardos. So we'll have to think about it in those terms. All right, our car should have moved out into the street, and we'll make our market rolls now. There's 3 of those we have to make. First one is 5 and 5, so no damage there. Second one is 1 and 4, so we've got a blue 4 and a white 1, and nobody there, so that's great. Here's the last roll. Blue 3 and a white 2. 3 and 2 is the goalkeeper, John, so he's been taken. All right. Now we can make our moves. We've got 4 actions. Well, there's really no player that is going to help us enough. Ben Mack is a defender. He can play any position on the back, but he doesn't offer many on the bonuses, so I don't think we're going to sign him. But I'm going to try to get in position to maybe get one of these either television or advertising contracts. That would be nice. I wouldn't mind signing Dan Teton either as our technical secretary. He is a good one. But we'd have to get to that location. So we'll see what happens. We're going to move 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I'd have to go that way. So we really do need a cash influx, though. Well, I think we'll move 4. Move there, and I'm going to try to make my way towards trying to get at those television and advertising contracts. That completes Friday. We're going to move on to Saturday, and that's going to be a market day followed by a market movement. We'll begin with our market rolls. Here's the first one. 4 and a 6, no problem. Okay, here's the second one. A 1 and a 2. A 1 and a 2, and that's Glaff. And that is a community manager. He's a pretty good one, but he's gone. And our last roll. And that's a 2 and a 6, so no damage there. We're going to have our 4 actions now and see what we can do. And I think we're going to make a movement to try to eventually get this advertising contract with Max Games. So we have to end up on that side of the street there. So I'm going to move 1, 2, 3, and 4 up here. Now we can use our 4 actions, but those can be kind of expensive, and we're down to only $6 remaining, and our income now is 6. So that's part of the reason why I want to sign one of those advertising contracts, is we can get a boost to our weekly income for that. Not to mention we'll earn some revenue for home games and for wins. But that's going to complete the market action for Saturday. Now we have to do our market movement. The first step is to remove all tiles with white tokens. So any of those tokens are gone. They've moved on. Then we place white tokens, white cubes on all the remaining tiles. And finally, we're going to refill the board, beginning in the upper right-hand corner and moving in order. If we run out of level 1 tiles, we'll start putting level 2 tiles out. So these are the new tiles that have appeared on the market board. And we have one interesting tile, and I'll show you that. We have one level 2 tile that appeared, and it's Savasco. He is a goalkeeper. You can tell he has 2 stars on the back of his jersey. That's a level 2 player. That does have a mild effect on the game when we're using the variant rules for injuries and for penalties. So those levels 1, 2, 3, or 4 on the players can make a difference. That's going to complete our Saturday action. We're going to move on to Sunday, and that is our match day. And we're going to be going through the fixture schedule. We're going to have a combination of neutral versus neutral and neutral versus player resolutions for the matches. And we'll go into those next. Well, it is now Sunday of the first week, and this is our match day. So we're going to be resolving the matches listed on the fixture tile. And I had a problem. When I set the game up, we should have set it up with the arrow symbol, not the return arrow symbol, as I had it set up. So we're going to be setting it up with the arrow symbol. What that means is once the tile is completed, we move on to the next symbols, and it says to turn it over and put it at the bottom of the deck for the second half of the season. Then in this one case, if that return symbol is up, the tile is discarded. So our match now is going to be Kayla Tree versus Maheo, Palmeiras versus Piranda, and Lagartos versus Malarusa. Except for the first week, which is a preseason week, every Sunday is a match day playing the Time of Soccer League. Matches for the week are shown in the top tile underneath the Sunday day track. Matches are played in order of appearing on the tile. There are 3 kinds of clashes, and each one is solved in a different way. First type is player versus player. Now, as this is a solo game, we won't be resolving any of that, but that uses the standard procedure for solving a match. The other option is player versus neutral team, and that will be our first match on the fixture. Kayla Tree is a neutral team, and we're the only human control team. So we'll be resolving that using player versus neutral procedure. The last type is neutral versus neutral, and that's the other two matches that are on the fixture. And those are resolved according to a specific procedure for that. Now, prior to the start of a player versus neutral match, we have to examine the neutral team level of our opponents. On this ticket here, it shows us that week 1, the opponents will have level 0 for attack and defense. That's the section on the resolution board that we're going to be using to resolve it for that neutral team, in this case, Kayla Tree. The first step in our match resolution in a player versus player situation, that's what this listing is going to represent, but I'll show you the differences when we're doing a player versus neutral or neutral versus neutral. First step is the income phase. The home team would gain income equal to its advertisement and television contracts. Well, right now, Kayla Tree is the home team, and that is a neutral team, so we don't have to worry about income. If the roles are reversed, Mohia would check their advertising and television contracts and earn revenue from those contracts because they're the home team, and they would gain that income. Next step is the away team alignment. The away team is going to decide on its formation based upon its manager, and its attack and defense levels will be finalized. The away team then announces whether it's going to be using their main team, substitute team, or a mixed squad. Let's take a look at that. And this is where our fatigue track comes into play. We have 3 choices of the team that we're going to field for the match. First choice is our starters. If we use our starters, there'll be no change to our team attack or defense level, but it's going to cost us 2 energy. Next choice is a split squad between bench players and substitutes. It'll reduce our attack and defense level by 1, but it will only cost 1 in energy because we're splitting that activity amongst more players. Final choice would be to use all reserve players. None of our starters will be used. We're going to have a reduction of 2 points to our attack and defense level, but we would use up no energy. So I'm going to select, obviously, our top team. So that is going to reduce our energy level by 2. But we're going to have no modification to our attack or defense level. Next thing we have to do is examine our manager tile, and he's going to tell us the formation that we're going to be using. In this case, it'll be a standard 4-4-2. So our 4 defenders are going to be contributing to the defense, and the 4 midfielders and 2 attackers will be forwards will be contributing to the attack. Next is step 3, and that's the home team alignment. In this case, the home team is a neutral squad. They're always going to be at full strength. They never use the fatigue rules that the human teams are subject to. So in this case, Kayla Tree will be playing at full strength, and they don't have to announce whether they're going to be using their starting squad, substitutes, or a mixed squad. Next thing we do is we examine the home team's attack and defense. We've determined that from our matches tile that Kayla Tree in week 1 will be using level 0. So this will be the table that we're going to be using to resolve attack and defense for Kayla Tree. And it just so happens that we are also both attack and defense in level 0. So we'll be using this table, which will be anywhere between 1 to 6 goals either for or defended. Step 4 is a new step, and this is because we're using the match events variant. And I'll show you how this works. Prior to the rolling of the dice to resolve the first half of the game and the second half of the game, both teams, whether they're neutral or player controlled, are going to make a D12 and a D6 roll, and we're going to compare that to the match event variant. That will tell us if something unusual happens during, in this case, the first half of the game. Now this match event variant is not mine. What I did is I just took the match event variant that was included in that revised rule set, and I just modified it to conform with the original match resolution rules. They have something called Total Football Variant, and that uses an alternate set of dice to resolve these matches. But we're not going to do that. I'm just going to use the events portion of this, and we'll resolve the matches as per the rules. So to use this match variant, what we're going to do is we're going to roll a d12 and a d6, and then we're going to consult our events phase chart, and we'll see what, if anything, unusual happens. So let's make the roll for the away team, and that's us, for Mohia. Okay, we've rolled an 11 and a 1, and that ends up to be no incidents. Nothing happens. Nothing happens on a roll of 10 to 12. We'll do the same for the home team, and these results apply to the team that makes the roll, whether it's a neutral team or a player control team. This time we have a 9 and a 1, and that is a tactical mess. The manager's tactics are being badly misinterpreted by the team. The result of 1 says tactics misunderstood. The team is a mess, and the manager is unable to correct the problem. Reduce the team's attack and defense result by 2. That is amazing. So what that means is Kayla Tree now, they're normally at level 0 for attack and defense. They're going to lose 2 levels because of the misinterpreted tactics. So they're going to be using level -2 for their die results. That's very good for the Mohia team. It's outstanding. The next step now is the away team attack. The away team always rolls 5 white dice and 1 blue die. And that is their dice pool for their attack. So we're going to be rolling 5 white dice and a blue die. Any results of 5 or 6s for each one of those, we would add up the total number of 5s or 6s and then look on the chart for our attack level. In this case, we're level 0. And that would tell us how many shots on goal we have. So let's make the roll and see what Mohia's attack looks like. All right, we have a total of 1 success. 1 success on that chart is worth 1 goal. All right. Now our manager offers us a special ability. It's a training ability that allows him to re-roll either the attack or the defense once during a match. So I think we're going to employ that. We've only got 1 success, and I think we can do better than that. So I'm going to use our re-roll option to get a better attack. So here is our re-roll, the attack for Mohia. Let's see if we can do better than 1 success. And that time we did. We've got a total of 2 successes, which is great. So what we do is we take the 2 successes and we look on the chart for the level that we're using for our attack. In this case, it's level 0. So 2 successes yield 2 shots on goal, and that's what we've got. So then we go down to the visitor's scoreboard, and the visitor is by an aircraft that's visiting. We mark that at 2 goals. But now the home team is going to do their defense roll. So for this roll, we're going to be examining the current defense level of the home team, Kayla Tree. Now they have been reduced because of some tactics problems. They're going to be using the level -2 display for their goals defended. And on defense, you don't roll the blue die, you only roll 5 white dice. So here is their roll. And they've done pretty well. They have a total of 3 successes. They have 3 successes. So we look at what 3 successes is on this table. 1, 2, 3 means they've defended 2 goals. So that means it's going to wipe out the 2 shots on goal that we have. So we have to reduce the visitors' goals down to 0. And now we switch on to the second half of the game. Step 6 is the second half match event rolls. We're going to do the same thing we did earlier, where each team is going to roll for an unusual event. And we're going to roll for the visitors first. Here is the roll. We rolled a 10 and a 5. A 10 is no incident, so nothing strange happened to Mohia. We'll make the roll now for Kayla Tree. See what happens to them. They've rolled a 3 and a 3. That's a PK. The referee has awarded the attacking team a PK. And the result of 3 is goal. So that means that Kayla Tree has scored a goal by penalty. And we're going to award them 1 point. And as it stands now, we're going to lose the match just by that. That result that they had earlier about the tactics will not apply anymore. So they're going to go back to having a level 0 offense against our level 0 defense. So now we're going to make the resolution for Kayla Tree's attack. They're going to be rolling 5 white dice and a blue die, and they'll be using the level 0 now for their attack. And they have no successes. Now the neutral teams get an automatic re-roll if they have no successes. So we have to undergo this one more time. That's a free re-roll for them. And that's just part of the way the game is structured with a solitaire game. Here's their re-roll. And they have a total of 3 successes. So we'll look at 3 attack successes on level 0. Gets them 3 goals. So we're going to move them up to a total of 4 goals. It's not good. Now, Mohia gets to make their defense rolls. And we'll be using that same level, but we're only rolling 5 white dice for this. So in order for us to tie, to pull a tie out, we're going to have to get 4 successes to get 4 goals defended. That's very unlikely. Here is the roll. We have no successes, so we have lost the match 4-0. Oh, that's disappointing. So we determine our match results, and the home team has won 4-0 against Mohia. Kayla Tree is victorious. That is going to earn them 3 victory points. So we're going to move their black token up to 3 for the win. Our red token stays at 0. You get no points for a loss. All right. Also at this time, we would resolve any injuries that occurred or any sanctions that might have occurred during the match. We didn't have any, so that's good. Next step is number 9, that's income. The winning team would receive money corresponding to its advertising and television contracts. Well, the winning team was a neutral team, so they don't get anything. If we were the victors, we would check our advertising and television contracts, and as a human team, we would receive money for that. Step 10, the final step, is the fan increase. Each player, or I should say human control player, will consult his community manager and adjust the satisfaction track according to the match results. In our case, we've got a loss, and with our community manager, we don't get any increase into our fan satisfaction track. If we had a better community manager, occasionally they will even allow you an increase for loss. So we might have gone up 1 if we had a better community manager, but we don't. So that brings the match to a close. So not a very prestigious start for Mohia, unfortunately. Our next match on the fixture is Palmeiras versus Piranda. Now those are 2 neutral teams, so the procedure for resolving this match is quite a bit different. What we do is we examine the neutral team clashes tile on top of the neutral team level tile. In this case, it's going to list an advantage and disadvantaged team. The advantage team is going to roll 2 white dice, and the disadvantaged team will roll 1 blue die. The high roller will win the match. If the result is tied, it'll be a draw. Now the advantage team is always the team that has the most victory points between the 2 teams. In this case, this is week 1. Both teams have 0 victory points on the league tracker. So in this case, the home team, Palmeiras, is going to be considered to be the advantage team. They're going to be rolling 2 white dice, and Piranda will be rolling 1 blue. So we'll make the roll and see who is going to be the victor in the match. Wow. Okay, we've got a 6 white and a 1 white versus a 6. Okay, that means the match is a draw. Piranda ended up drawing against Palmeiras, and we'll mark that accordingly. So, in this case, both Palmeiras and Piranda will earn 1 victory point for the draw. So the purple disc and the yellow disc will move up 1. All right, we have one more match to resolve. This time it is Lagartos hosting Malarusa. Same procedure will happen. None of those teams have any standing on the league track, so the home team will be the advantage team. In this case, it's going to be Lagartos. They're going to roll 2 white, and Malarusa will roll 1 blue, and here is the roll. And that time we've got a 3 and a 1 against a 2. So in this case, the home team wins 3-2, and that is going to earn Lagartos a win. So we'll move the green Lagartos disc up 3 spaces on the league board, and this is the current standings on our league board. We've got Lagartos and Kayla Tree with 3 points, Palmeiras and Piranda with 1, and bringing up the rear is unfortunately Malarusa and Mohia. So week 1 is come to a close, and what we do there is we're going to flip this fixture tile over to its opposite side and put that on the bottom, and that is going to reveal our next fixtures for week 2. In addition, we're going to move our neutral tiles marker down to week 2, and now we find out that the neutral teams are going to be using level 1 for their attack and defense. So our upcoming matches are going to be Lagartos hosting Palmeiras, Malarusa hosting Mohia, another road game for us unfortunately, and Piranda versus Kayla Tree. So we'll move our day tracker up to Monday, and we advance to week 2 on the schedule. And then we would continue on as we did through the preseason and week 1 turns, and we would keep playing until we reach week 10, and at the end of week 10 we would add up all of our victory points, and we'll find out who is the winner of Time of Soccer. I'll be completing the remainder of the game off camera, and I'll rejoin you after week 10, and we'll delve into the scoring process. All right, we have finished the 10-week season, and the winner of the league ended up to be Kayla Tree. They ended up with 7 wins, no draws, and 3 losses, and they earned 21 league points for that. Second place was Lagartos, 5 wins, 2 draws, 3 losses with 17 league points. We're going to go through our victory point scoring and find out what the final totals are. I'll bring up the final table so that you can see how the other teams performed. We ended up finishing in 5th, so we would be relegated, but we'll go through the victory point scoring and see what happens. So we begin by adding up the league points that we've got from our wins and draws, and that's what the discs are showing right now. The next one is 3 extra points for the winner of the league and 1 extra point for the next closest. So Kayla Tree would gain 3 more, and Lagartos would earn 1 more. The winner of the BSK Cup was also Kayla Tree. They're going to earn 7 victory points for that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're at 31 now. The loser of the cup match was Palmeiras, and they're going to earn 4 victory points. So they'll move up from 13 up to 17. And we take a look at the semifinals. One of the teams was a neutral team, that was Vetusto. They ended up upsetting Malarusa in the quarterfinal. So they would earn 2, but they're not part of that league. So we did end up winning our quarter match game, so we're going to earn 2 extra points for winning that. So we're up to 14 now. All right. Next consideration is our fan base. We ended up getting our fan base all the way up to 19. That's going to earn us 6 victory points. So we're going to move up from 14 up to 20. Next for scoring, we're going to take a look at our offense and defense. We'll take the lower of the two levels and we'll earn victory points for that. We ended up having a level 6 attack and a level 8 attack and level 6 defense. So we'll use the defense. That's going to earn us 8 victory points. So that's going to move us up to 28 on the victory point totals right now. Next consideration is we're going to lose a victory point for every team position not covered by a football player. Well, we managed to cover the entire board, so we're not going to lose any points. We actually had one extra. Eric Draven was placed on the bench as a reserve player. Next scoring would be to resolve if we had any press releases that we either completed or failed. We didn't have any press releases. I didn't gain any during this game. And our final consideration is we're going to gain a victory point for every $10 that the team has in reserve. It ended up Mohia had $5 in reserve, so we won't gain any victory points for that. So we'll take a look at our final totals. So in first place we have Kayla Tree. They ended up with 31, so we'll place them there. We finished second. We had 28 victory points. Third was Lagardos at 18. Fourth was Palmeiras at 17. Fifth was Malarusa at 14. And bringing up the rear was Paranda with 8. And that's the final scoring for our game of Time of Soccer. I hope you enjoyed this example of play and rules overview for Time of Soccer. This is really a great game if you enjoy football management games and Euro games. It combines both of those elements, and there really isn't anything on the market that quite does it the way that Time of Soccer does. The only equivalent that I can think of is that game 11 from Portal Games, and I looked at that. I watched a few playthroughs of that, and I don't know, it seems like a good game, but it just doesn't, there's something that just doesn't resonate with me like this game does. This actually makes me feel like I am a chairman or owner of a team, and the 11 game just, I don't know, it does a lot of things good, but I think the match resolution is where it kind of lacks. It's kind of a wonky method of match resolution that they use, where this is kind of more exciting, I think. I think that might be the difference in the two games. So that's going to wrap this video up. Thanks for joining me at the Solo Gamers Club, and I hope you enjoyed this playthrough and overview. Look forward to seeing you next time on the channel. And in the meantime, this is Keith from the Solo Gamers Club signing off and wishing you a pleasant evening. Good night.